All right, what's up, everybody? This is Cody coming to you live as DFS Prodigy and featuring Mac, who we're going to,
Everyone.
everyone, yeah. We're going to talk about the upcoming MLB slate for 8/29, 2020. It's a crazy slate based on, as you can tell, based on the pitching with Dylan Bundy over $10,000, which is not normally a sight we like to see. And be aware the Oakland and Houston games not going to accrue points, so stay away from them. But you're going to have the casual players who are going to still pick them, and that will be key to ownership. So it's a good and bad situation for both of us, of course. And like I said, we're just going to go over the slate. We're going to take it by the pitchers and then go over the stacks. I'm going to go over mainly DK because I haven't looked at the FanDuel slate, and both of us play DK. So that's where we're going to start out at. What are your thoughts so far?
Should we start top down with Dylan Bundy, as mentioned?
Go
Ten
for it,
three.
because I know you like to talk about him a lot. So go for it.
He's, he's kind of the Angels' ace at the moment, as much as they have. He's been pitching fairly well going against the Seattle Mariners, which the Mariners, they strike out a lot on paper. They have been coming alive recently, actually. I've been targeting them a little bit, but that's not worked out well. Turns out they can hit too. As a team, though, their lineup, they're striking out at 22%. Dylan Bundy throwing 24% strikeout rate. So it'll be enough. He has ISOs a little less than 200 for both sides of the plate, not a major splits difference. A 325 WOBA for left-handed hitters and a 307 WOBA for right-handed hitters. I think that he's obviously kind of the top pay-up option. It's not safe, but probably about as safe as you're going to get, or one. Just in terms of, I imagine he'll perform well and still get at least 15 points or so. I can't see him just blowing up completely.
Well, personally, I'd rather have him than Lance Lynn below because I don't trust Lynn against the Dodgers lineup at all. But looking at Dylan Bundy, look at it in splits, he's not that bad versus Seattle with the 2.40 ERA. So, and plus I know it doesn't look good at home, but again, it's the Mariners and we know how their lineup is. So it's not that scary to me. And like I said, Lance Lynn's 9,200. I don't trust him whatsoever versus the Dodgers. I don't know if you're going to him or not personally, but I'm not looking at him as an option.
Honestly, I do think that Lance Lynn is semi-feasible, especially if you wanted a GPP spot. Because actually, like Lance, he's obviously a great pitcher. It's really the Dodgers lineup that's concerning.
Yeah.
So if you want to err on the side of pitcher skill more than batter skill, just because every batter can go over 3 in baseball, just that crazy variance.
Yeah.
So I think that's one way to go. Otherwise, yeah, it's not something that you want to attack per se.
What do you think of Stripling?
Stripling is almost the opposite case, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's looked shaky as a pitcher this year. He's still priced up a little bit. 8,400, it's workable, but he does have a great opponent in the Texas Rangers. Let me whip them up. And also that one, Globe Life Roof will be closed today. They're one of the few ballparks that are really affected for wind and whatnot. So that's going to, having the roof closed, there's less stuff blowing around. That's going to be a plus for him, actually, Stripling. The Rangers are striking out about 20% overall against right-handed pitching. Whoops. Nope.
Well, then
Bad.
also, I mean, look, like you said, he's shaky with 4.2, negative 6.1, 9.7, 18 points. That's awful. And now his price tag's all the way up to 8,400. I'm not
Yeah,
getting into it either at
yeah,
all.
he's been blown up a bit. Sorry, actually, 23%. The Rangers strikeout. Ross has a 18% strikeout rate. Yeah, actually both sides. He has a WOBA against righties of 465,
Uh-huh.
an ISO of 351. So it's not a bad idea actually to take righties against him if you want to go that way.
And speaking of that, the money line's easily on the Dodgers in that lineup, and it's over 8.5, which I'm liking a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
The over, I would definitely take the over at 8.5. So
Yeah, I don't know, it's a weird slate for that. I suppose, yeah, that will actually help Lynn a little bit too. If he wants to contain the crazy Dodgers lineup having that rough close.
I'm going to take it down a little bit. And a guy I'm looking at as an SP2 is Brett Anderson versus the easy Pirate stack.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's a lock and load for my SP2. I know the ERA is not completely there, but at the same time, look at the Pirates lineup. It's not that scary to me whatsoever. So
It Yeah,
I'm
after
not
getting
on
no
it.
hit by Gio,
Yeah,
they're not in good shape.
I'm not on it. I mean, you can easily look at the salaries. I mean, no, it's a no go for me. I'm all over Brett Anderson easily.
Right. I think that he's one of those players that you'll have to get to if you want to get to the core stack at all. Um, for 6,400, it's hard to go wrong. Getting 12 points will 2x his salary. That's not bad.
Not at
Uh,
all. Yeah.
Anything above that's just icing, I suppose. Um, but yeah, there's not a whole lot to worry about. Um, uh,
What do
yeah.
you think of Weaver versus San Fran?
Actually, yes, I had him written down as well. Um, I think that for 7,600, yeah, he's definitely playable and will probably be a necessity or one of the big options if you want to get to that core stack. Because yeah, once you start getting up into the Ross, Bundy, and Lance Lynn type of price ranges, it's that much tougher to get cores.
Do you like Weaver more, like Weaver with Anderson, or Bundy and Anderson more?
Um, I think if you're playing GPP with cores, which that's really just throwing variables everywhere. Cores can explode, so can these little pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think Weaver and Anderson would be a good way to go.
Because
The Giants haven't looked too scary against right-handed hitters either.
let's build like a sample lineup while we're going with it.
Let's do it.
So I have Weaver and Anderson so far, and that leaves us with 4,500 left. So we can definitely get some bats that we like for sure. So, like you said, the stack. Do you want to? So far, the stack that I'm looking at. So we always know catcher's kind of variable. There's no really telling who you're going to get to at catcher. That's kind of just a part of the stack. But the guy I'm looking at, if we're going to go for a stack, I'm kind of liking a Washington mini stack, like it's
Absolutely,
Boston.
yeah.
What do you think about them?
Yeah, I think that Washington is a great that can be used as, in my opinion, a main stack if you want to combat the cores. But you can do some great fill and work with that and a core stack as well. Going against Mazza
Yeah, he's
for the
all the
Red
way,
Sox,
yeah, at
yeah,
the bottom of the
and
barrel.
yeah, he's not great to begin with. Followed by an even worse Red Sox bullpen. Being the away team too, the Nationals get 9 guaranteed times to hit. Against a bad bullpen, that's also a great thing to look at. Hopefully score another 1 or 2 runs in that inning.
For
Um,
sure.
I
So
think
I'm
it's a
kind of
great
looking
look.
at Suzuki at a catcher.
Yeah, he's a great catcher option for that. Um, let's see here. Otherwise, Voight actually, I was looking at him earlier against Cahill.
Hmm.
He is Cahill is not been good. Let me bring him back up. Uh, shoot. Yeah, Voight is a lefty. He has not been great against lefties. Cahill has almost a 200 ISO. Meanwhile, Voit has a 150 ISO himself. So if you're just looking for a bomb, he might be able to get lucky. Oh, he has 7Ks. He has not been doing well. But yeah, like you said, catchers are all over the place.
For sure.
I
So,
think they're fun just to kind of fit into like the bottom end of a stack if you can find a cheap one. Just tap on.
so say we're going to go with the Washington stack. I'm kind of looking at Suzuki, Hendrick. You can put Cabrera in. Give me, I mean, Juan Soto's all the way up, so kind of be careful with that. But I wouldn't mind like an Eaton, Cabrera, Kendrick, Suzuki stack, and that leaves you 5,000 left.
Yeah, Soto, the price is hard to get behind, but honestly, if you're going to stack the Washington side, instead of say like a primary core stack, I think that you have to lead off with Soto. He has a 400 ISO against right-handed pitching, over 500 WOBA, just ridiculous numbers. And again, he's most likely going to have the splits advantage. Just more often than not, it's going to be a righty coming out of the bullpen. So I think that's a great advantage to have. Otherwise, yeah, he's just been on fire.
So,
Hitting like
but
a madman.
be aware though, like we were saying before the video, the weather in Washington and Boston game is kind of crucial also that we need to watch out for.
For sure.
So that can be either good or bad for us, meaning the weather could just pass through and we'll get ahead of the ownership because of people will think I don't want to play them because of the weather, or we get screwed in, the weather cancels the game or something like that. So it's always a high variance sort of thing and a gamble in itself inside the game to watch the weather.
Yeah, I'm seeing if I can find anything about that weather actually. I know that they had some storms coming in later in the day. Uh, they did not play a game previous.
Mm-hmm.
See here, a line of thunderstorms will approach them during the game, but more likely will not have an impact on the game.
So, like we
Or
were
have a
saying
little
though,
impact.
yeah, like we were saying though, people will still be scared. So that's good and that's pretty good for us because I'm
Yeah,
liking this national stack a lot.
if it stays clean, it's a great spot to go.
So even if you have Suzuki, Hendrick, Cabrera, and Soto in his stack, you still have 4,400 left over.
Yep. And even with how cheap someone like Eaton is, he's batting fifth today. So I mean, if you want to hop off of Soto for Eaton to get to like a high value Padres play, there's a lot of cheap places that you can go. Garcia has been fairly cheap, hitting well. So there's tons of mixing and matching you can do.
So are you on the San Diego side or the Rocky side?
More so the Padres side. They've just been absolutely crushing the ball. Slam Diego Padres. I mean, yeah, they have that away field advantage, 9 full times batting against Senzella, which hasn't been great, followed by a bad Rockies bullpen.
Has their lineup come out yet for the Padres?
The Padres.
Because I don't see it.
Let me check.
But double check on your end. But I haven't seen it yet. Because I just checked Roto Grinders and I didn't see it. But if you see it, let me know.
I do not see it. I think we're still waiting on that one.
So we're just going to go based off of, yeah. So
I think that
go ahead.
Most of the main plays from that are kind of like your everyday guys, in my opinion.
Yeah. So based on what I'm looking at, is I'm liking Will Myers. He does really well against right-handed batters, and that's a good price tag to me. So I really like him for the outfield option. And then if we're going to a second base option, what do you think of Cronworth?
The young rookie phenom. He's been lighting it up. I'm all for it, especially at that price tag.
Same.
A lo- so Myers, Cronenworth, a lot of those guys have really reasonable Coors Field price tags, because I know that they usually jack up Coors prices like crazy, make you actually have to think about it. Those guys are both really cheap, big parts of the lineup.
For sure.
Um, and yeah, Cronenworth a over 300 ISO, over 440 WOBA, gets a little bit of a splits advantage. All for it.
So hear me out. What do you think of the lineup we have right now with Suzuki, Kindred, Cronenworth, Cabrera, Rogers, Myers, Soto, Grisham, with the Weaver and Anderson pitching combo?
What is? Let's take a look at
Because Tatis
Rogers.
is 6,100, and that's really hard to get to. As much as I want to play him in a stack, we have to
Right.
sacrifice either Soto or someone else.
Yeah, what's ridiculous with him is that he was around 600 the Coors series. He has been crushing the ball.
But I'm liking
So,
Rogers against the right. I mean, I know he's been awful, but at the same time, he can pop off.
um, yeah, I don't know, I'm not super excited about him as a play. Has he been hitting well lately?
Not really. He's just part of the core stack that I was
Okay.
looking at. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah,
Kind of like
for
a fill-in player because I want somebody from the Rockies, of course. So he was kind of a fill-in guy.
for 3,000, I guess you can do worse.
But like I said, that Tatis, it's really hard to get to.
Right. Um, but I think fairly he's the number one shortstop on the slate.
Almost definitely.
Yeah. Um, so I'll take them. See here, Profar is cheap sometimes. They have him expected hitting seventh.
Mm-hmm.
Hosmer, I think he might go overlooked. He has a 300 ISO, 380 WOBA against righties, hitting fourth in the lineup. I don't believe he's too expensive either. I don't know the
Mm-hmm.
price on top. Um,
Hosmer is like 5,100.
50. Okay, yeah, a little more expensive, but
Yeah, they jacked up
yeah,
those prices as soon as that last night's game was over.
right.
So
um,
it's really hard. Like, I'm trying to find an option.
what about a another national in the outfield?
Or what about a Milwaukee stack? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, let's talk about that actually.
Because
Um,
we missed that.
yeah, so the Milwaukee stack, they are Brubaker, something like that. Um, whatever poor Pirates Fisher picture has to go against this Milwaukee lineup.
Good
They
luck.
are right. Yeah. Milwaukee are favorites, which to actually back Brett Anderson pitching,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, get a few extra points from the win. Right now, um, let's, yeah, they are projected 5.3 points. The 185 favorites. Um,
Well, I mean,
I,
hear me out. Sorry to interrupt you,
go
but
for it.
look at the stack that I just made.
Oh yeah, they're super cheap.
Like
Um,
that's you can go either way with the 4, 5, 6. You can go 1, 2. I mean, you can. This is crazy to me based on what
yeah,
you can make.
yeah, Uria's 2,900.
Yeah,
Smoke hitting. Uria's leading off too. That's great praise for a leadoff hitter.
most
Um,
definitely.
Smoke hitting 3,300. Uh, and then also a great spot for catcher actually. If you want to include that in your stack, Navaria's hitting 6. He is 3,000.
Yeah.
He has 150 ISO.
I mean, I wouldn't mind doing that with
Yeah,
Weaver, Anderson, Navarez, Smoke, Cronworth, Urias, Tatis, Myers, Yelich, and Soto. You have 3 superstars in your line.
absolutely. Even if you take out Yelich, I mean, just that 146 combo as a mini stack, that's super cheap. A lot of upside, especially for that price tag.
And you still have 1,000 salary left over, so
Exactly.
you can play with that all you want.
I think something like that would be a great option if you want to get out those big price tags, the Yelich and Soto, and just go for kind of price per dollar ratings. Find someone cheap in a great spot. That'd be an easy way to bump up pitching to whether you
Yeah,
like a Dylan Bundy, a Ross, or Lance, or whatever.
for sure. Because in that case, you can go up to Stripling if you want to. That leaves you with another salary, but I'm not going to. I'm leaving Weaver in. I'm just leaving that 1,000 because that's a GPP option that most people aren't going to get to.
For sure. Yeah, otherwise, there's not. I think it's kind of a tougher game for cash, to be honest.
Yeah, because like I said, watch for the weather in Washington Nationals. That's all. We have Coors Field, San Fran, and Arizona. I'm not really getting too much of, to be honest with you. Do you have any thoughts on the Arizona stack possibly, or are you
The
off of it?
I like Arizona stack as a GPP option. Um, not so much as kind of a price basis. Going against Cahill, he's not been pitching great.
Yeah,
Um, so and honestly, there uh, wonder yeah, Calhoun, he's leading off for the Diamondbacks, 300 ISO, 375 WOBA.
hmm
So even playing him as a one-off, I think that would be a solid play if you just need somewhere to get different. Those are some good stats. Cahill, yeah, almost a 200 ISO against lefties. So it's a position. They're not great. They are projected for over 5 runs, however.
yeah,
So it's doable if you need a way to be different.
yeah. That's kind of just a GPP option. What do you think about the Los Angeles game in Seattle going against Justin Sheffield?
The other side of Los Angeles. Let's take a look. How expensive is Justice?
Sheffield is 7,300.
Yeah, I think that's a workable GPP play. Uh, the Angels can strike out a lot. Um, there also happens to be a lot of power in the lineup as well.
hmm
Um, yeah, between Otani, Trout, Rendon, Pujols, the ghost of Pujols.
Right.
There's enough to do damage. He strikes out enough people, and he's cheap enough that if you need it, you need it.
Yeah, and I think people are going to try to go to Sheffield because of, like I said, the ownership, and that would be pivotal for us because we can get an angel stack and use that as a leverage play. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So I don't mind getting to a mini angel stack, to be honest with you.
and some of the surrounding pieces are very cheap as well. I believe Upton is dirt cheap, like in the 2000s, maybe like 3,000 tops. Joe Adele, the highly rated prospect, he's fairly cheap too. He hasn't really shown up, but if you're gonna take what got the skills that got him there, you can always make a risk.
For sure. What other game? Are you getting to anybody from the Texas game? Batters wise, now they have a starting lineup out.
Batters wise, um, yeah, from Texas, not really. It's
Not a
it's a
really well
weird
known lineup at all.
it's a weird situation because yeah, you can't really play Ross, or it's harder to play Ross Stripling. Yeah, it looks like a good match. Then again, there's no one on the Rangers that I really want to play either.
The only reason I would go to a Dodger stack again is just because of leverage.
Yeah, Dodgers. I'm fine with that. That's a great leverage stack.
For sure.
They have a really difficult lineup to pitch around, so
Right.
yeah.
Do you have any more closing thoughts before we both head out?
Not really.
Other than just the obvious stack course field?
Yeah, I think Padres, Nationals, Brewers, and maybe a D-backer Angel if you're lucky.
That's where I'm going mainly too.
Your
So,
last thoughts on pitching?
you can always go to Dylan Bundy. I don't mind Bundy. You can, what else? Let me pull them all up. I don't mind Bundy. I like Weaver and Anderson as SP2 or combine them as SP1. I'm not getting to maybe Lance Lynn if you want to be risky. Maybe a Stripling if you want to be risky again. Sheffield, maybe, if you think that total is going to be low. I'm not getting to anyone below summer 300 other than Anderson. I'm not getting to Sanchez until I know I'm not getting any of these guys down below whatsoever. So my thoughts are either, like I said, combine Luke Weaver and Anderson or pay up for Bundy or Lance Lynn. Or are we kind of on the same page, I think?
Yeah. Under 7K, there's not much I want to throw besides Anderson.
Not at all. And then, like we said beforehand, watch the weather in Washington and Boston because that could be pivotal also. And we also have to watch for the players walking out in the game. So keep your eye on that too, just in case the game gets canceled because of protest.
I will say, at least for weather, I have been hearing that in Colorado there's some storms similar to what they played through yesterday, approaching for the game time. So I think you'll have to keep an eye on that as well. They played through it. It sounded like there was some good pour during part of the game, but they just kept going on.
Right.
So yeah, if it gets much worse, I know that teams are a little more quick to cancel during these COVID times. Don't want everyone hanging out in the locker room. So
I haven't seen anything about protests today, but like I said beforehand, just watch out for it because it could happen.
yeah, I know that the Astros and Athletics one was kind of quick yesterday.
Yeah.
That one didn't see coming.
So we just got to keep our eye on that. But other than that, I don't really have much else for this slate.
I think that's about it.
All right, my man. That will do it for us. Have a good one, everybody.
Have a good one.
Bet.